Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aromatic Chat, the podcast that introduces you to registered clinical and certified aromatherapists from around the world. Every other week, my super awesome, way smarter than me baby sister sits down with a different aromatherapist to learn about their aromatic journey and how they use essential oils in their lives and businesses. Aromatic Chat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching, and my sister Melissa is your host. She is a master transformational coach and a registered aromatherapist. Once again, everyone, welcome and enjoy the show.
Hey friends, welcome to episode number 78, Aromatic Chat with Sara Holmes. I loved chatting with Sara. We connected on so many levels that I felt like I was chatting with a lifelong friend. Have you ever had that happen? One of the things that is so great about our aromatic community is the deep connections that we all have because of our beloved botanicals. Sara's fascination with plants began as a child. She grew up and took that love into massage therapy and then into educating others. She's a published author and honestly, just simply amazing. I know you'll be glad you tuned in today, so let's get started. Sara, okay. I'm so grateful that you said yes to being a guest on Aromatic Chat for so many reasons. I mean, you've been doing this for several decades, and I just think it's wonderful to hear from people in all different stages of their aromatic journey. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Melissa. It's a pleasure and an honor.
We would love to hear your aromatic journey, how you ended up here doing what you're doing.
Well, it actually started when I was a child. As a young child, my grandmother was an avid gardener. And if we had any minor illness or ailment, I always noticed that she would run out to her garden and get specific plants. At that age, I had no idea what she was gathering. But she would use old-fashioned, which was her choice of cooking oil, bacon grease, and she would put it on our chest or whatever area was injured, and then she would pick the certain herbs or plants that she was going to use on us and lay them on there and then cover them with a nice warm rag. And generally, we got better much quicker than if mom went ahead and took us to the doctor and we got, some kind of pharmaceutical help. Because they were all minor issues, colds, flus, just the general things, maybe a bruise or cut. But she just had an intuitive nature that had been passed down to her from her mother. And so I've tried to carry that on with my own children. And I make tinctures and salves and different things for our family now. But then, of course, I did follow up with education because I, definitely wanted to know more. And so I have my first certification was in 2004 with West Coast Institute of Aromatherapy through a correspondence course back in the day when they did those. And then I studied with Scylla Shepherd Hanger at Atlantic Institute of Aromatherapy and got my certification in 2007. At that time, I also was in school to be a licensed massage therapist and graduated from Parkland College with that degree. And then got asked to do some teaching at the college. And so I went back. I only had like a year to complete to get my Bachelor of Science, which they needed for me to teach. So I went ahead and did that simultaneously while I was building an aromatherapy course and complementary and alternative medicine course, 4 credit hours at this community college in Champaign, Illinois, called Parkland College. And so I taught there for 10 years, had wonderful students and made many connections there with lovely nurses. They had a great nursing program and met, just many wonderful people that remain friends today. And so that was a real jumping off point for me. And then my life kind of took a little bit of a turn. In 2014, my daughter was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And she was very ill, and we had taken her to Mayo Clinic, and I was her caregiver. And I do want to say right off the bat, she's still living, thriving, doing well. And I believe the aromatherapy and different things have been very helpful to her. Plus, she has such a can-do attitude. And so we are 9 years. Um, she's not cancer free, but she is living with cancer well, is how I would describe it. Unfortunately, we did lose niece to cancer in 2015, who I was also trying to help, but she had brain cancer and she chose a different path. She went with the right to die and moved to Oregon and chose that avenue for her peace of mind. And so that was a sad time in our family. And my brother-in-law that same year had a heart transplant. So it was really quite a dramatic year. But the natural therapies helped keep me functioning so that I could do the things that I could do to help support the caregivers of all of our family, and the patients as well. And so it was something that kind of grew into an extra arm of my business and what I do besides education. Was I really am passionate about supporting caregivers or people that are suffering, body, mind, and spirit, and helping whatever I need to boost, however I need to boost it with the education I've been given from the marvelous educators we have in our field. And they've all been amazing.
Okay. I want to just give everybody a chance to take a breath right there, because that's heavy what you just shared.
It was.
It really is. And I'm newly acquainted with that as well. My brother passed away last year from stage 4 colon cancer.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's what my daughter has, is colon cancer.
83 days from diagnosis to passing. That was it. It was so fast.
My gosh.
And then my cousin,
heart goes out to you.
Thank you. And my cousin also passed away, or my second cousin.
Oh.
I can't keep track of the family tree thing. A distant cousin also passed away from brain cancer. So it's very interesting that we're connected in that way.
Yes,
thank you for sharing it.
You're very welcome.
And I can tell that you're adjusted. You've worked through, I'm sure, a lot of the grief that goes along with both of those diagnoses. But I wanted to give everybody a chance to just take a breath, because I'm sure there's listeners who are struggling or have struggled through the same. So thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope to be able to help anybody. I've done a teleconference on AIA on how to support caregivers, and Laura Cantelli's always been a very big supporter, and she had me scheduled to speak at one of the AIA conferences, but I had to pull out at the last minute because of our brother-in-law's heart surgeries. And she, how organized she is. She took it in stride, found somebody else, and, everything moved on as scheduled. But I've had a great support network. I really have.
And that's super important. I would love to talk just about that briefly. The caregiver. I volunteered with hospice with my service dog a while back, and the caregivers. Many times my dog, who was a therapy dog, we would walk into the room and she wouldn't go to the patient. She would go to the caregiver.
That's interesting. Very interesting.
Because caregivers typically set their needs completely aside, right? To care for.
Yes.
And you're talking mind, body, spirit, right? And my
Right.
dog
All the time.
saw the pain in their mind, body, spirit, even though they set their mind, body, spirit pain aside.
Yeah.
So share a little
Yeah.
bit about how you support the caregivers. I really feel like this might be the direction we need to go.
Okay. Well, usually they reach out because obviously I don't know everybody that needs support, or somebody will give me the name of someone that they know that needs support. And um, I will typically just meet with them or chat with them. Sometimes that's not possible in person. But I would say the first thing I typically am told is they're exhausted, they're emotionally drained, um, nausea, lack of sleep, headaches. Some of the things that, as aromatherapists and massage therapists both, we see frequently. And so I try to, if they're in my area and I can see them personally, I try to do that. If not, I do find out what kind of aromas make them comfortable. What do they like? Is there any scent that particularly brings them joy? Those kinds of things. And I always start with an inhaler. It's seems like such a simple thing, but it can be so life changing for people that have never used something like that, especially when it's been prepared by, people that know what they're doing when they're blending
Right.
for a particular issue. And so usually send one, but I typically don't charge for the consultation or the um, first inhaler. I just want them to have help as soon as possible. Then, if they want to establish a relationship long term, then, I'm happy to do other blends. Maybe they need something a little different. And of course, we know, every kind of physical or mental or spiritual issue they're having requires possibly a different blend. And so that takes more time and research. And so then we kind of establish more of a clientele uh, relationship. But there's always the side of me that is happy to give them just caregiver guidance and support uh, anytime.
That's beautiful. And I love the fact that you start with an inhaler because it is aroma therapy. And I mean, I know we do make a lot of things that we rub on our skin and things like that, but
Yes.
the fastest way to get those chemicals into our body is through inhalation. And
Right.
I think we think it's too simple. How could it have a lasting effect? It's too simple.
Yes. Well, I've had some pretty amazing feedback from clients, both the patient and the caregivers. Um, I have a young man in high school that has cancer, and he is very nauseous. And so he is getting a blend from me that we change probably, I'd say once a month anyway. Uh, and he's been able to gain 20 pounds, uh, be functional and get to school. And so that just makes my life complete when anybody is, you know, gets back to me and says, this has really helped me so much. I just, I had to share with you. And I appreciate that because that's what gives me feedback about what might work for somebody else. But again, they're all based on that person's health history and what their needs are. And my daughter's response was amazing. And every time she would go in to have her port accessed for blood draw or whatever. She said, the minute the alcohol swab came out, Mom, I would get nauseous and I felt like I was going to throw up. I'd make a different inhaler for every time she went so that her body always had something new to focus on. She said those just kept her from so many episodes of really getting to the full vomiting stage.
Yeah.
And it was very powerful for me to be able to stop anything, just to help support her in any way. And then we've used countless numbers of therapies that are aromatherapeutic and complementary medicine that have supported her, ongoing health at this time. But I just hope other people will consider natural remedies to support themselves and their family.
Yeah, I feel like, and it might just be because we're a part of this community, but I feel like there's so many people who are fed up with the regular going to the doctor for every little thing and all the
Yes,
medicines and everything like that. And I think I feel like we have it backwards. We should be going to herbalists and aromatherapists and complementary modality practitioners first.
I agree.
The
Yes,
least invasive methods to see if there's something minor that we can do to help ourselves, to support ourselves so that our body can heal itself, right? Instead, we
right,
run to the doctor and immediately get a strong medication or something like that. And I don't feel like our bodies always need the heavy, strong medications. Now, unless we're talking about allowing our bodies to get so far out of balance,
right.
But when it's something minor, like your grandmother with her bacon grease
Yes,
and her herbs, it was a minor
I
thing,
know.
and I was able to support the body enough to heal itself with just a few herbs and some bacon grease.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, from that minute she had me, I was like, wow, this
It's
is so
magic.
cool.
It's like magic.
And
It's like
yeah,
magic.
it was. And this would have been like in the, probably late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
And so then I had to have an herb garden from that time on, wherever I was. And I do to this day. And that's the other benefit of having essential oils is
Right.
not only that they're more concentrated, but we can have them year round,
Yes.
and we know what we want when we want, and it's easy to get as long as I always have uh, preferred uh, providers that I use to purchase my essential oils. I don't sell essential oils just because I don't want that to be the focus of what I do.
Sure.
And so I always recommend, people say, well, where do you get your oils? And I am happy to tell them.
Yes.
But
I do the
I
same.
just, what?
I do the
You do
same.
this?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do the same. Here's a list of 5 great
right.
companies. Just go get them from
And
there.
then, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and that's, and then I do tell them, I said, well, if you do garden, I can tell you too how to make a poultice or
Yes.
a tincture or something like that if you would prefer that over an essential oil. Usually they want the essential oil because it's convenient. It's going to stay, good for
You're,
potentially a year to
yeah.
2 years.
You're
And
pretty stable.
yes, I
Yeah.
can see why they would want that.
Yeah. But isn't it wonderful? Oh my gosh. Isn't it wonderful that we have so many botanicals to choose from
Oh,
and so many different
yes.
forms to use them? I just think it's I don't know, the infinite wisdom of our universe to give us what we
Yes.
need before we ever needed it. I just think that's fabulous. Would you be
Yeah.
willing to share some of the herbs that you love to plant every year?
Oh, yes. It's pretty consistent. I always do lavender. The variety sometimes changes in my area for the plant, but as long as it's lavender and angustifolia, then I'm okay with that. And then I use thyme and peppermint, lemon balm,
Mhm.
rosemary is always a constant. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Calendula. That's one of my favorites because topically, you just can't really beat it. I'm trying to think. There's so
Truly.
many that I like. And then I do cooking just, for fun. But so I always want the tarragons and the purple basil. And I do plant green basil for pesto. And it's a pretty big herbal space.
It sounds wonderful. And I imagine in the summer, if you just go out and bruise a leaf,
Oh,
it'll just, fill
yeah,
the air.
every day I go out. Yeah. And sometimes many times a day. It just depends. And in between, I work from my home. So in between clients and different activities, I generally take all my breaks outside in the backyard. So,
Very
yeah.
nice. That's very nice. I feel like as a society, we've become very disconnected from the earth. So when we get the opportunity to go outside just for 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, right, is the recommendation for vitamin D. 20
Yes.
minutes is all you
Yep.
need. But if you can go out and get your hands in the dirt or just walk around in the grass in your bare feet, I don't know, there's so much goodness that comes from that, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it's, you just come back inside almost a changed person because sometimes what our clients are going through, we do absorb some of that. And so I have to kind of do a chakra cleansing myself at the end of a day before I go to bed because I will tend to carry a lot of their heartache with me. And so it's, um, and I know I'm not alone in that. I mean, anybody that I think helps people with health issues or caregiver support, as we were talking about, it's exhausting. Either way, the caregiver is exhausted, the patient is exhausted. It affects the whole family, and so you're really doing very nurturing kind of family therapy.
Mhm.
Is how I look at it, and
Yeah.
because I have nourished my family, I guess I see it from the inside out.
Yeah. Well, and I think you brought up a really great point at the end of the day, just taking a moment and disconnecting from from the energy of the day is super
Yes.
important. And not even just for aromatherapists. I think that could benefit everyone, right?
Oh,
Taking
absolutely.
taking
Yes.
that time to just disconnect from the day because we do tend to hold a lot of the things that we experience and experience with others throughout the day as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree, and it's just a healthy thing habit to develop is to disconnect from the television, the news. That's why I'm not very good at technology. That's not where I go to at the end of my day
Yeah.
is to get on technology and see what's happening.
That's good. That's good. So I've found aromatherapists to be really some of the most versatile and interesting people. And I'm curious, besides herbs and gardening and aromatherapy and massage and caring for your family and others, what are some of the other hobbies or passions that you have?
Well, I really like meditation. And so I usually incorporate that. I do a lot of education locally in my community, and I teach at various community colleges
Mm.
for continuing education for massage therapists. And I focus on not only the therapist's wellness, but how they can help their clients that are having health issues or emotional issues, spiritual issues, through using meditation, different types of like the chakra balancing. Those are the main things that I use, and then prayer.
Mm.
I do start almost everything with a prayer. I would say those are my grounding mechanisms. I do believe in the power of energy, and so I always try to keep my energy centered and give good energy. If my energy feels weak, I try not to impart that on someone else. I won't cancel a session necessarily if I'm not, at 100%, but I try not to do anything that I feel would be out of my scope.
Right.
at all during a time when I know that I'm not really, at my best. And we all have days like that, I think, but
Right.
I get massage myself. I try to keep, do the things that I preach. I use aromatherapy every day and in various ways. I mean, it's not the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't run a diffuser constantly. I make my own aromatic body products for myself. And so I'm immersed in what I like and what I need for that day. So, but yeah, I have been blessed to have studied with some of the best teachers in our field. I'm constantly seeking new information because clients currently, other than cancer support,
Mm-hmm.
Parkinson's is becoming almost, I don't want to use the word epidemic, but maybe it's because of my age as well. I've been studying that with Madeline Kirchhoff, and there's other people I know as well teaching that. But she helped me so much during my daughter's cancer
Mm-hmm.
therapy with different ways to help with her neuropathy and things. That she's one of my very trusted mentors for those issues. And Jonathan Benavides. I mean, there's just so many. Jade Shoots, studied with Robert Tisserand many, many times. When you've been doing it this long, I think you have studied from most of the people we consider icons.
What are you working on right now that you're really excited about?
Well, right now like I said, I have some clients that are presenting with Parkinson's, and I had a brief video chat with Madeline, and she gave us a couple of very interesting perspectives on things we might be able to do. But she's doing a full-on class, and so I'm anxious to get more immersed in that. But I have seen other therapists posting some things like on ICANN that they found helpful. It's a really informative platform to get information on, helping clients with very specific needs. So it's something that I am still in the work process of trying to um, get the best information I can before I do anything.
Right.
So thus far, I haven't offered to make anything for anyone or support them in any way, other than just if it's for, you know, anxiety, sleep, something like that. Again, back to the caregiver. It doesn't matter if you just have a sick child with strep throat and you're scared to death because they have a high temp and your anxiety is out the roof. um, you know, if they feel like they could benefit from, being able to calm and learn how to, if I can just teach them a few meditation verses and get them to focus on, one central object, clear their mind, focus on an aroma. That was one of the very first ones that I did. Try to see that plant, try to go and connect with that plant. Um, you know, if I can do anything like that just for anyone, I'm happy to do that.
Helping others and learning are the things that excite
Yes.
you the most, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very perceptive. I wouldn't have even picked that out of what I just said, but I think you hit it on the nail on the head. That is exactly the two things that I am most passionate about.
Amazing. So, one of the purposes of Aromatic Chat is for people to be able to connect with you, find you. How can people find you if they're wanting to work with you?
I have two emails, and they're welcome to write me at either one. I know this is going to sound kind of um, bizarre, but I have four Facebook pages
Okay.
because they all reflect my interests.
Okay.
And one is me, Sara Holmes, which is usually more family oriented or nature oriented. A Grateful Gardener, which is all about my garden. Then the third one is A Fragrant Memory, which is uh, Facebook page that I wrote a short book about the grief experience for the caregiver and the patient and what you go through during grief. And it contains some recipe blends that are helpful to people that are in that situation. And then my fourth one is, I guess that is for a grateful gardener, a fragrant memory, Sara Holmes, and botanical healing art.
I'm curious, you've been doing this a while. You have such a rich generational history with the plants. I'm curious, who is it that inspires you to keep going, to keep doing this amazing work?
My grandchildren. I am happy to say they will ask me to help them if they become ill or they're having test anxiety at college. They're all, we just had one graduate from college last weekend. We have a graduation this evening from college. And almost all of them have used aromatherapy and massage, both, as different ways, and meditation, I guess, too. I have one that particularly connects with that. And so I feel very grandma, kind of like my own grandma, going full circle.
Yeah.
It really fills my heart with joy to be able to show them this is another path that you can help yourself. Grandma may not always be here, but you know this, and I have it all written down. So if you forget it, you can come back to all my writing. And I've published several case studies and different things on fibromyalgia and other painful ailments. And so you can always look at where grandma's been. And if grandma's not here, she will be somewhere.
That's amazing. So as we come to a close, I always love to just hand the floor over to my guest. If there's anything you feel we missed, or if there's anything that you just desperately want to share, any inspiring words, anything at all, this time is yours.
The most important thing I think we can do with whatever talents we might have is just to share them with others and to try to benefit everyone as much as possible through connecting in just like the community education that I do. There's so many people that come on a regular basis because they just, like you said, they're overwhelmed with all the information on medical things. They'd like to know some things they could do themselves to help them and their families. And so I think that would be my parting message would be, don't underestimate the wonders that nature holds and the healing powers that plants have, and to connect with them, whether it's through your garden. Make friends with an aromatherapist is always good. Live your life with your heart, a heart-centered life, and you just really can't go wrong.
Thank you so much, Sara. Oh my gosh, I have enjoyed getting to know you, hearing your story. I would love to be able to walk through your garden and enjoy, I don't know, the generational. I mean, you just have such a rich generational history of interacting with these plants, and I feel like that's important.
Well, I appreciate that, and like I said, I hope I've passed that to my grandkids, who will then take it a step further. And as of now, they're all in healing professions. So I feel that gives me an indication that at some point I influenced them in some small way. And it really, like I said, gives me a happy heart.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you, Melissa. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so I was actually tearing up at the end of this interview, and I'm probably going to tear up again. because I want to share something with you, something kind of vulnerable. If you go back to the beginning of this episode, you'll hear my brother's voice, my brother who passed away back in November 2022. I decided in August of that year, when I made a trek back to the States from Guam, that I would get as many family members as I could to record the intro to this podcast. This was before we found out that my brother had an aggressive colon cancer that had spread throughout his entire body. But he rallied. 2 weeks before he passed away, he mustered up the strength to sit down and record this intro for me. He couldn't even talk on the phone for 5 minutes without running out of energy, yet he set aside that to put his voice on a recording. Today's episode is the first one that I felt was worthy of having his voice attached. And that was because of the bond that Sara and I created in our first 5 minutes together because of colon and brain cancer. Has that ever happened to you? You meet a stranger and there's a bond. Our brains are amazing. They are always, always, always seeking out love, safety, and belonging. I found that with Sara today, and for that, I will be forever grateful. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Sara Holmes. I will include all of her contact information in the show notes. Every time you listen, share, and review the podcast, you're supporting the mission of Aromatic Chat to connect people with the aromatherapist that meets their wellness needs. Aromatic Chat is produced by Lemon Balm Coaching, and I am your host, Melissa, Master Transformational Coach and Registered Aromatherapist. My passion is helping people succeed. I love working with people who are emotionally numb and disconnected, and I walk beside them as they reconnect their mind, body, and spirit so that they can heal. You can connect with me on the web at lemonbalmcoaching.com and Instagram at lemonbalmcoaching. I will see you next time with our next episode. Until then, peace, love, and aromatics.